are being taken. It is time for history to repeat itself and stand. Black Robe Patriots. Your host, Dr. Cindy Flowers and Pastor Ladina Boo.
Good morning. It's Ladina Boo from Stockton, Missouri, and my co-host here, Dr. Cindy Flowers, and she's sitting up there next. Yeah, where are you? In Michigan. That's where you're at. Okay.
Michigan. Yes, in the Mitten State.
Yeah. You know, I didn't notice that it looked like a mitten until you said something a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, oh, it does look like a mitten.
Yeah. That's how we give directions. We put our hand up like a mitten and go, you see, I'm here, and you drive up here by this finger, or are you in the thumb? You know.
Oh, well, okay. I'm just going to stay in Missouri. You know, we're kind of rectangular.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do
You're just like right there.
Anyway, we're going to step back from our journey through the various amendments to the Constitution because we have a political crisis going on in our country. We are being invaded. And so today we want to talk about the Texas border. And so this is a subject Cindy and I talk about frequently in person and, on the phone. And, somebody had asked the question, if the Supreme Court ordered the governor of Texas to permit trans surgeries performed by drug mules strung out on fentanyl for the victims to then be human trafficked into the transsexual porn market, should the Texas governor obey the order? And I think we can all agree that that's a no.
No.
Everybody is up in arms over what's happening down at the border. But we are thrilled, Cindy and I both, with the Texas Governor Greg Abbott's line in the sand to the U.S. Supreme Court and all our tyrannical feds. A letter that, Greg Abbott had sent a letter, and he was telling them, we need to compare this to our Declaration of Independence, which is basically what Texas is doing. They're standing on constitutional grounds by trying to keep the invasion out of their state. And, we need to discuss this. We need to address this particular situation because Governor Abbott is within his rights to protect the state and the citizens of his state.
Yes, he is.
And this week,
absolutely,
this should be an interesting week because today starts a convoy. Some of them started last week, but today starts a convoy at the Texas border, and they're going to drive the entire Texas border and back again. They're going to be going both directions, but they're expecting 700,000 proud Americans down there to stand with Texas. And that does my heart good.
Yes. They've also invited police. They've also invited bikers, veterans to come down and let me note this peacefully. And let me just say this before we go into it any further, and we can repeat this again before we close out. Yesterday, it was known that Biden is sending down some of the military, supposedly to do military exercises with the National Guard down there. However, most of us know that the military is not going to go and do military exercises down there. They're coming down there with tanks for a reason, trucks. So,
right.
Everybody's advice is this: you're doing peacefully, and you're there peacefully, but remember, keep this in mind. if they're sending this down, beware that they're going to try to pull a January 6th on you. So if
Right.
you're being peaceful and everything, and you start to notice there's some people that are starting to want to fight, that's feds. Get out,
Right.
and just leave because they're setting you up.
Yeah. And, with J6, they've already proven that a lot of the instigators were actually um, federal agents posing as Trump supporters. And
Yes,
so, we've got to watch what our government's doing. And, Matt and I were talking before the show, and somehow we both are of the opinion that sooner or later we're going to see blue hats in our nation. And we do not need the UN to come into our nation and try to tell us how to handle things. The UN wants to
exactly.
take away our free speech and everything else. So if you're seeing blue hats down there, there's a problem. But they're
Exactly. I see. It comes down to the same thing like it happened with 9/11 and other things. If it doesn't happen to you personally, people are like,
mhm,
oh, that's just terrible, and then they get on with their day. Well, you're not. If you don't live in border areas, in border states, and such, you're not affected by it, so it doesn't bother you. So you go on with your daily life and like, oh, those mean old Texans doing that, putting up razor wire, and it's like, do you live down here? Do you see the invasion coming in? Do you see uh, uh, New York is completely overrun? Do you see that now in O'Hare Airport, Chicago O'Hare, is now blocking off all with the shuttle areas and stuff, blocked, and says private, and they've got it covered in black. You could see if you go on America's, what is it, America's Choice, that show. I don't think it's but Ben Berkwam, he
mhm.
was there to waiting to fly back home, and he saw the mess in Chicago inside the airport. There's places American citizens can no longer go because the migrants are staying in there. And you know what's
Yeah.
really interesting that I saw a picture of? When the American citizens have to go through security, we have to do this and be checked,
Mhm.
have our hands up, get checked, and they can just go through.
Yeah.
They can just go through, but the American citizen has to be like this and get checked.
Yeah.
That
And,
doesn't sound
you
like freedom.
and then shutting down school systems and making children go to distance learning, which absolutely destroyed our children during the COVID lockdowns. Distance learning is not conducive to most children. And so they shut down the schools and started housing migrants in the schools. And then yesterday, or no, Saturday, they closed down a special needs school and are making those children go distance learning because they took the special needs school for migrants. And, these people are not here legally. The vast majority are not here legally. You know,
Nope,
if
they're
you
not.
went through the process of applying to come to our nation and you came over and you are trying to obtain your citizenship, you're studying for your citizenship tests and things like that, that's one thing. But, most of the people coming across our southern border are not families looking to start a better life for their kids or anything of that nature. They're military age men and they're coming from all of the countries in down in below Mexico and so forth, Guatemala and all those places, and then you have them coming from everywhere else. Well, at the moment, we have also learned that there are a lot of Russians and Ukrainians coming across. We have vast majorities of Chinese people who are coming over dressed very nicely with very expensive luggage. And, we've already, unless you're paying attention, you probably don't know that they've caught them in our various water treatment facilities and our dams and, touring our electrical grid facilities and so forth like that. And, I just don't think that, I love touring a dam and going inside of it, but, I don't think people come from China to just see what it's like. They're here for a purpose. We've got these little shadow
Exactly.
people running around our country right now. And so
You
we
know,
have got to address this.
yes, it, I don't understand this Gen Z and the last cutoff of the millennials and this whole generation. I don't understand it. I don't understand that America has the Constitution. We live in the freest country.
Hmm.
You can be what you want to be. You can, uh, you know, inspire to do what you want. You can worship how you want, and
Hmm.
nobody's going to bother you. But yet, you know what? You want to destroy that because for some reason you want to be ruled. You want to be a slave. You want to be a slave to the system. You want big government. And you know what? You're going to start to see. You're going to start to wonder, why do these people have all of this, but they say we can't have it? This
Hmm.
is the reason why the Declaration of Independence was created and why we had a revolution to begin with, because we were tired of living under somebody's thumb where they got to have everything and we had nothing. Now, why, Americans, why are you trashing this? Why do you want big government? Why? I don't get it. I do not understand it. Why do you not want to be free?
Well,
I
I am
don't
going to
under
have to go. I'm going to blame the public school systems, okay? Because all the Marxist ideas that are being fed to our children are coming basically from the public school system and our universities, because they've all been, um, I forgot the name of the place in Germany, but even our theologians and so forth, the theology schools and everything. The Frankfurt School in Germany. So a lot of those ideas are coming from the Frankfurt School in Germany. And so they have embedded all this Marxist socialist concepts into our public school systems. So if you want your children to learn the truth about our country, go to homeschooling. Go something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
You know, start your own little homeschool co-op and everybody work together, because what they're teaching our children and what they've been teaching our children for years is Marxist ideology. And that is not what our nation was founded on. Um, because
exactly, exactly.
our nation has a foundational American principle, the doctrine of the lesser magistrate or interposition. And it's why we have branches of government. It's why we have a 10th Amendment that says whatever power has not been explicitly bestowed upon the federal government goes to the states. It's why constitutional amendments must get approved from a supermajority of the states. And it's why we even have juries of our peers. Those are things that come from our 10th Amendment. And, everybody wants to say that Texas is violating an order from the Supreme Court. Supreme Court can issue their opinion, and the Supreme Court can say what they can say that, the National Guard or whoever can go down there and cut the razor wire, or our military can go down and cut the razor wire that the Texans have put there on their border, trying to stop the inflow of all these um, immigrants and everything. So all of that flies in the face of the idea that anything an unelected judge or federal bureaucrat wants to order must be enforced by a captive nation. And that is not the case. The Supreme Court does not make laws. The Supreme Court has to depend on what laws are on the books. And, they can issue whatever orders they want, but, it's not a law. Texas does not have to obey that order from them. It's like, but the feds think they can do whatever they want. It's, Cindy and I were talking about student loan forgiveness. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. And most of us in this nation would say, no, you can't do that. Everybody else who's gone on to college in the past and so forth, they had to pay their own student loan debt. And so he was told he could not forgive all these student loans, but our President Biden is still wiping out student loan debt for a lot of people. He's doing it, in little chunks, and nobody's standing up and saying, you can't do that. In most situations, I'm going to say this right out loud. Don't send your children to college, okay? The colleges are promoting these Marxist ideas. The social interaction with people is causing a lot more confusion. That's why we have so many people who are trying to transition because they think they're being told that, if you change your sex, you will actually be a male or you'll actually be a female. And it's like, no, you're not going to be that, but the confusion is causing a lot of people to go that direction because that's what they're hearing in college. Send your children to a trade school.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm still in disbelief of the fact that how many people they won't leave here because they know how good it is. They know at the end of the day when the cameras are off and they're sitting in their secured home with their cupboards full that oh yeah, I would never want to live anywhere, but America because we have the Constitution that will protect me. But then they come out and they fight against it.
Right.
The thing about Texas is when Texas joined the Union, there was a stipulation in there that if they wanted to, if something come up and they wanted to, Texas can secede from the Union anytime it wants to. So they need
Actually,
to keep that in mind.
Actually, they removed that from Texas a few years ago. My cousin was living in Texas because of that, and they removed that particular stipulation from the Texas laws and so forth. So, yeah. So, Texas is stuck here with the rest of us. But it was one of those things,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but there's many a day when I will tell people that I will take my 80 acres and secede from this nation, and I will live in peace and security in my little 80-acre country.
Yeah, that's a shock to me because it's always been that done deal that Texas could leave the Union anytime. And I believe that a state you can secede from it. You can secede,
Right.
but you have to go through some channels and some the process to do it. But you can leave, and if they're smart, if it keeps going this way, they don't deserve it. They really
Right.
don't deserve it. You've got this. This is what cracks me up. And Steve, if you want to continue it of this, my show is going to be just about this. Is about these people that think, oh yeah, you guys are fascists. You guys are this. What was the one thing that Green Day said? No Trump, No KKK, no fascist USA. You guys are the fascists because you know why you're the fascists? Because you want big government. You want big
Right.
government control. And we want freedom. We want to be left alone. Do what you want to do. Leave people alone. Let them have their farms. Let them do whatever. You want to be it, you're an adult and you want to change your gender. Well, you know what? You can do so. Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to stop you from doing any of these things. That is
I
not
will,
a fascist.
I will come against you if you're trying to transition children, though. They do not have the
Oh,
capacity to understand.
children,
If you're an
children,
adult
no,
and you want
children
if you're an adult and you want to go change your gender and you think that's going to make your life
yeah,
perfectly fine, then, you know, if you're an adult, I'm not going to say anything to you one way or another, but stay away from the children.
exactly.
And we have to
The children
remember,
are out of the equation.
you know,
they're not even a possibility. But yeah, you see, that's what I don't get. And then they sent the Democrats were the one who created the KKK. The Democrats are the one that created Antifa. I call them Clan Tifa. They
it
created Clan
yeah,
Tifa
yeah. And they,
to come back.
the Democrats have done most everything that is dragging our nation down. If you want to go back and look at history, I mean, it hasn't been the Republicans, but we also need to remember we are a nation. We are a constitutional republic. We are a group of states that have joined together under one constitution. But that doesn't mean that we have to bow down to someone who at this point seems to be trying to be our king. We don't have a king
Exactly.
here. We have three
No, we
departments
got
of,
rid of that one.
yeah, we got rid of that one, So, we've got to remember that, the stuff from the Supreme Court has neither force nor will, but it's merely a judgment, and it depends ultimately on the aid of the executive arm for the efficacy of their judgment, and they has to depend on Congress to rewrite the laws or whatever the case may be, and you know Biden wants everybody to give him money. For immigration, and he wants to hire a whole bunch of people and pick up a whole bunch more guns and so forth. But he said nothing about stopping the flow, because he still wants, like 500,000 people coming into our country every year that don't
Yeah.
belong here. And if you're coming across the
Rand.
border, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You finish. Go
Yeah, with
ahead.
I've seen too many times when people are coming across our border and they're carrying the flag of the country they came from, and they're planting it
Yeah.
on American soil. That is totally wrong. We have our own flag, and that's what we go by. It's got 13 stars and it's got 13 stripes and 50 stars on it in a field of blue, and that's the only flag that needs to be flying in our country.
Yes, it's not a racist flag. And if if a person is truly seeking asylum, and because people will go, oh, well, they're running for their lives, they're doing anything, really. Well, let's see. When you are throwing huge rocks and sticks and other things and weapons and coming and they're trying to attack the border patrol, you're not coming in
Hmm.
peacefully. You're not coming in
No.
for asylum. You're coming in because you got told to and you think you're going to get a free ride. You think that they think that, oh, they're going to get everything handed to them, which you can see right now. They are. The American people are
you
bounced to
know
the
uh,
curb.
Right. We've
And there,
bounced our veterans out of the veterans hospitals. We've bounced our children out of their school facilities. We've bounced our disabled children out of their school facilities and so forth. And, why is America being put on the bottom of this pile for the illegal immigrants coming into our nation? And, they've got so many of them crammed up in various states that call themselves sanctuary states or sanctuary cities or so forth. And the people who actually live there are upset because these illegal immigrants are coming and pounding on their doors of an evening and at night wanting food. It's like, okay, this is not a free handout nation. You come in here and you're getting food stamps, you're getting medical care. In some states, you're getting a monthly allowance. And none of us ever got that. Did you ever get a monthly
no,
allowance from the feds?
no,
It's
they. This is where I find it funny. Like I said last week on my show,
mhm.
how come with their big mansion homes and Congress, the ones that fight for this and they're standing behind this, they have so many homes in like a home in this state. They got a beach house. They got this. Why aren't they homing them? Why aren't they bringing them in and let them say, "Oh, come and stay in here"? You know what? Bring them in the freaking White House, then, Biden. Bring them in with you. You're the one letting them in. Let them stay with you. Open up your homes, Mayor, whatever her name is, or Governor, whatever her name is in New York City. Open her house. Open the other mayor's house. Open the DA's houses. They voted for it. They said they stood on, "We are a sanctuary city." Well, then open your houses. Don't go to the American people that didn't vote for it, but have to live in that city and say, "Okay, we're overrun. Will you take some?" It's like, nope, nope. You got what you asked for. Like, deal with it.
Right.
I'm really tired of it with this, and I could just, you know what? This is all the people's fault that went ahead and uh, voted for Biden. Oh, because Trump did mean tweets and said mean things. Trump was bad dad. Trump.
Trump
And
was
look
a
at what he
loving
did for
father.
us. Buck some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trump was a good father. He was trying to put back, back the rules that we were, you and I were raised on. You're a little younger than me, but I'll give you some leeway. But, he was following the laws of our nation. He was looking at the Constitution and he was trying to dismantle this federal bureaucracy that they the feds have made all these little subdivisions, the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms, the educational department and things like that. Those were not put in our Constitution for a reason. It used to be that the states decided on the education for the students in their state. We didn't have some high muckety muck in Washington that told us how to train our children up. Okay. Look in your Bible. You train a child up in the way he should go, and in his old age, he'll be doing that same thing. Instead, we're putting our
right.
children in a public school system that is showing pornography at a young age, and trying to wonder why these people are all confused today and wanting to transition to an opposite sex, which never works. Trust me, it never works. Um, but we formed the Constitution, and America's founders did not pledge their lives, fortune, and sacred honor to go from fighting redcoats to black robes. We do not want to fight with the Supreme Court. The signers of the Declaration of Independence, who would later see that their plantations lit on fire and covered in blood from battle and protest because of no taxation without representation, never intended for the result of that to be whatever spews forth from the bowels of totally depraved elites who aren't directly accountable to the people. And they're trying to say that anything coming from the Supreme Court is irrevocable law. The Supreme Court cannot make laws. Okay, so get that in your head, start reading your Constitution, and understand.
Exactly. And if you have been following us from the time that we started, all the way up to we're in number 16,
We're
16 or
at 17.
17?
17. Yeah.
17. You will see going back all the way up to 17, the amendments. Look at how many amendments in the Constitution is being violated right now. Right now,
Right.
Senator Rand Paul has said America has become the world's sugar daddy. Do you realize now, people, that what your tax money is going for, that when you go to do your taxes this year, you make sure that you include Ukraine, because your taxes go there. You put out taxes for Ukraine. You put out taxes for, I'm not going to call them migrants. They are illegals. That's what they are. They
Right.
sneak into the country. They're not here. They're not vetted. Okay.
Well, they had
So
over
you can
302,000 people come across that border just in December.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a lot of
insane.
people.
That's insane. And we pay taxes. We pay taxes on them, pay taxes for the money that is constantly going to Zelensky, pay
Uh-huh.
taxes for, oh my gosh, raised, and that's why they raising the tax so that they can give money to everybody else. We have become the world's sugar daddy, and that's not how it is. America was created, and when we finally had the Declaration of Independence, that's what it's called, independence. And you know how blinded you guys are out there that are for this, that voted for Biden, that are for big government. You don't even realize why we did. We just wanted to be left alone. You should be rejoicing about that and go, man, I can get this land. I can have this, this house, or I can do this and I can do that, and no one's going to bother me. I can say this. I can express my views and my feelings, and nobody's, yeah, you might get flack from it if they don't agree with you, but you have your own opinion. You have the right to say it. You have the rights to go where you want to go, within reason. You men don't belong in women's bathrooms. Women don't belong in
Right.
men's bathrooms. They're going there. But I'm saying, for the most part, why? Why do you want to be controlled? Why do you want to do it? Do you know there's people that don't have what we have, and they say to us, America, don't give up your guns. America, I wish I lived in America where we could be free like you, where we had a constitution like you do, but we don't. We have to do everything that they tell us, or else, or
Mm-hmm.
else. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Is that really?
You
And
know,
you think just because yeah, they think just because they've got money that's going to save them. But remember something: even on the Titanic, those billionaires, their money didn't mean squat.
right.
It was the was going to sink. Think about this, people. Think about it when you vote. And you know what? Don't after us when we, the Republic, we are a republic. Don't listen to what Nancy Pelosi says. Don't listen to what Biden says. We are a republic, which means the people. The people have the power. We have the power. They work for us. And look at the condition, how we're living and how they're living, and they work for us.
Right.
You
You
want
know,
that? You want
that, that's not what I want to live under. Okay. I'm not going to live under the thumb of somebody just because they have millions or billions of dollars. You know, our nation was formed as a republic, and the states were, if something was not directly under the federal auspices of, the House of Representatives, and, Congress and the court systems and the executive branch and so forth. Uh, they should not be controlling us the way they are. They're stepping on our rights. They're turning our nation into something that is managed by the little sub things that they put up, and that we don't have any control over those people. We don't have any control over the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms people. We don't have any control over the Department of Education, which, in my personal opinion, and I'm going to say this is my personal opinion, the Department of Education needs to be dismantled completely and put the school systems back under the states where it started. And as far as our the southern border and stuff, they're supposed to protect us. The federal government was designed to protect us from terrorists, foreign or domestic. Well, in my opinion, we got a lot of terrorists up there in Washington, D.C. that need to be removed. And I think President Biden is probably the biggest one at this point, because he's doing exactly what he wants. He's not listening to the Supreme Court. Why should Texas? He's forgiving student loan debt, but Texas cannot protect its borders. Texas is trying to protect themselves from this major influx of individuals that are not even vetted in any fashion. I'm going back to President Trump. He made them stay in Mexico. Okay? Put them back in Mexico. And if you're down there and you are trying to bring people across the border, I'm finding you to be a domestic terrorist also. That you are helping with the invasion. And, we've got to put a end to this, and now everybody in Washington, D.C. wants Biden to federalize the Texas National Guard so that he can, they can control them and the United States military can control them. But, and so instead, control, every bit of it's control. If he federalizes them, though, then it's possible violation of another act in our Congress, another act in our United States Constitution, which is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, which bars the use of the military for civil law enforcement duties. And so, that's another violation we got there. Every member of the Texas National Guard is also a member of the United States military, but it can be federalized for a lot of reasons. It can't be specifically for law enforcement. It's also like responding to Jello with when you hear that these guys start saying things like, oh, Biden should federalize them. Okay, but what's the purpose? Okay, there's no reason for, of course, you're going to federalize them because you want them to follow you. But there's a lot of patriots and a lot of other groups, police officers and so forth, and other security personnel and retired military and so forth that are going to stand up. He can't federalize every person in this country. And
no.
Texas and our southern border is an invasion. We've had, I think it's close to 2 million people that have come across the border since Biden got in office. 2 or 3 million.
Awful. It's been awful.
Mm-hmm.
And he took down, and you know what? Never once did Trump say, or was he being a racist of any kind. He said, come here. We'd love to have you. You want to come to America? Come here legally. Come on. But do it legally. Come through the front door. That's not being racist at all. You know what?
No.
Look at the millions of people. As I said in my last show, if anything, look at the millions of people that have done that have come to this country, that went through the right ways, that paid the lawyers, that had the visas, that did the time that they were supposed to do, that showed up with their immigration lawyer, and then studied, and then finally that day came where they could go and they got sworn in. They did everything right. So you know what? They're more angry than anybody else because they're like, we went through all the channels, we earned
Right.
our citizenship, and you guys just think you can come in here and the government is giving you. He said, and they say, we didn't come to this country, we this garbage to come to this free country, and now you want to start pulling this garbage. There's a lot of people here that can smell socialism and communism a mile away because they escaped it. That's why they came to America. And I'm telling you, Pastor Ladina, I just do not understand why these people, they want somebody to have control over them and have power over them as much as they can. But then the ones that are fighting to be free, they're calling them fascists.
Right.
I
You know,
just don't understand it.
and let's look at the our nation as a whole. And I forget how many trillions of dollars in debt this nation has against it right now. And the moves that Biden is making wants to put us more trillions of dollars in debt. There is no reason for us to be financing the Ukrainians. It's no, there's different things around here that we have to look at. And one of the things about if Biden decides to federalize the Texas National Guard and put them under his control, or the Department of Defense's control, is that, you've got to get funding. You've got to pay these people. And right now, Texas is paying his Texas National Guard. Since when does our nation have enough money to take over the Texas National Guard or whatever other state's National Guard, and then they have to pay them? We're already in debt, okay? They need to start cutting some debt out of this nation.
Exactly. And you know what? Look at that. Look what's being violated here. This is right in front of your face. That now they are going after a state's rights. Each state has their own right. Before they really became the full-on union, the states ran their states the way that they wanted to run them.
Right.
Just like, you can go drive through one state and it's it's a gun friendly, no big deal. It's your second right. Then you can just cross over the border or over the state line into another state, get arrested because you have firearms in your car that are they're locked up and everything. But they have completely different rules. That's how states' rights are. That's how each state makes their own decisions. And Biden is now trying to interfere with Texas's states' rights. Every state is given their own National Guard, and the governors can, issue them whenever there's a state of emergency and whatever. But now, because Biden is the American people are coming together and standing up against this, and finally tell them, we've had enough. Stop it.
Yeah.
Either you want to bribe with the bill. See, listen, he set the bill. Okay, you got to read what the fine line, the little stuff that they sneak. Okay, he makes it sound because so he went on to the conservatives and go, well, see, they're not allowing us. They read the bill. They read the bills. So that's like, nope, you're going to do this first. There's no negotiating. But this thing about we want the power and we want to take control. Why are these people claim that they are Americans, United States citizens? Why do they want to be controlled? Why do they give power to a government? Will have them under their thumb? Why? Why?
And if Biden decides that he wants to federalize the Texas National Guard, um, which right now there's over 1,000 service members deployed on the border, and they're seeking more volunteers to help with this. But doing that is just showing his political agenda. It would be injecting politics into military operations, and the Department of Defense doesn't really want to get involved in that. But he's trying to do. There's a possibility of him doing this, and to me, if they're violating our laws, they're coming in illegally across the border, and therefore the National Guard has to be down there, the Texas National Guard, to try to protect that state. Our states have rights too, and the feds are under really the states in a lot of respects, because if we don't want to, we have to send people there that want to vote our thoughts, the thoughts of the people in that state they're representing. And so if your representatives and senators and so forth are not representing you in the way that you want them to be represent you, then vote somebody else in. Okay, get away from all of these great big people with lots and lots of money and so forth, because right now there were 2.2 million encounters with migrants crossing the southern border illegally in 2022, more than 2 million in fiscal year 2023, and so forth. So we're getting to the point where the immigrants are going to outnumber the citizens. It's not what
Yeah.
I signed up for when I was born. Okay, I love my country. And, all of this happens to be over a 47-acre park where, after they put the razor wire up, they've only had 2 or 3 people try to cross there, and the rest of the border is wide open. I was watching a video where some guy was driving along the border, and it's like, okay, here's Trump's beautiful wall. Oh, here's where they took out a panel and they didn't even put up a gate. It's standing wide open. There's another spot where they have up a gate, but it's standing wide open.
Exactly.
They have done everything they can to destroy our nation, in my opinion. So
Exactly. So how much does it say there? How much fentanyl is coming in through the border that's killing people? What about the trafficking? The trafficking is skyrocket. Do we want
well,
this? And you're and so think about that.
yeah, and just in case you're wondering, we know how much money the cartels are getting with their fentanyl trafficking and so forth. They've even set up shop on United States ground in California and have these little cities that are controlled by the cartel. Well, the cartel right now is making more money bringing immigrants across than they are with their drug sales. People are a high commodity item. They're very expensive, and the cartels are making more money with people than with drugs.
Yes, they do, because they can resell them. They can people and resell people. Same thing with guns. People thought guns was the number one thing at the
Mm-hmm.
border being smuggled in. No, because once you buy a gun, the gun is bought. But with
Right.
people, you can resell them and resell them and resell them and resell them. And this is what you're supporting, people. I'm not saying every single person, but come on. We don't have the facilities for this. We people have you've got to stand up. If you love this country, then you
Mm-hmm.
need to stand with Texas. You need to stand with Texas.
Yeah. Well, the framers of our Constitution foresaw that states should not be left to the mercy of a lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of immigrants across the border or smuggling guns and drugs across the border. And so that our Constitution was framed in such a fashion that the federal government right now has broken its compact with the state of Texas by allowing 6 million illegal immigrants across the southern border in the past 3 years. We're going to be outnumbered anymore. We're going to, United States citizens are fast becoming a minority in our own country.
Exactly. And you know what else? And they keep aborting their kids, aborting their
Right.
babies, so there's no more American citizens. And it's like, see, you keep killing your children. They're having babies. And you know what? Even over in China, when they're telling everybody, oh, just have 2 children, blah, blah, blah. Well, over in China now, they're going, have lots of babies, have families, get them involved in things. Look at the Chinese TikTok compared to America's TikTok. Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Insane. They're growing and flourishing, and they're dumbing you down by the moment.
Right. Your school systems are definitely dumbing down on children, and you can see it. If you go and look at the old numbers of our educational system and the new numbers, they're dumbing them down. They've been doing it for years now, and we have to put a stop to that. But right now Texas is arresting those coming across the border, and they're holding them under criminal trespass laws. Families that come across are handed over to the Border Patrol. But those who are arrested for trespassing are seen by a magistrate, and then they're sentenced, and they'll usually serve time in a Texas jail expressly set up for them. Okay, we're not going to put them in with everybody else. And once they've served their time, which is usually several months, they are turned over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and hopefully they are sent back to where they came from. If they come back again, then they could face 20 years in prison. And so Texas has a right to do what it's doing, and we have to stand with Texas and the border states and try to stop this influx as quickly as possible, because it's gone on for far too long.
Amen. Go ahead and try sneaking into Mexico. Go ahead and try sneaking in to a country like Italy, the UK, Ireland, to try sneaking into Russia, try sneaking into any of those countries. They're not going to be nice. Why? Because you're sneaking in. So they're going to treat you like the criminal. When you come here to America, now see, before I go any further, these Christians are the ones that come against people like me, people like you, and they go, "You're not very godly. You're not thinking with that, being a good Christian." You know what? I'm not worried about being a good Christian. I'm worried about being more like Christ. And you know what? They're the ones that are breaking the law.
Right.
Okay? They know what they have to do. And
I am not, I will love every person I come in contact with, but go back and read your Bible. Every one of those cities in there had walls around them.
Yes, they did.
Jerusalem had a wall around it. All these other towns and cities and so forth had walls around them. Well, President Trump, in his determination to keep ourselves free, America, he was trying to build a wall on that southern border. And, personally, I think we need a wall on the southern border, and anymore, we need one on the northern border too, because we're being attacked from both sides. And, sooner or later, we're going to lose everything. And, I don't want to I will not stand for that. So, anything I can do to raise awareness, I'm going to do.
How come, again, see, the rule is the White House, that's the people's house. No matter what color, if you're American, you're an American, That's your house. You have the right. It's supposed to be open so kids can come in on school trips, go and visit the White House, tour the White House. That's always been the tradition. Obama closed it and had it
Mm-hmm.
closed so you couldn't. He stopped the tours. Trump got in and he reopened it back to the people, and it flourished. The kids were coming in, they were doing stuff, they were getting to be able to see the White House. Biden's in. Why are there walls up, Pastor Ladina? Why do they have walls and barricades all around the White House and the Capitol and all that? Why do they have barricades? Well, can you tell me why? Why do they get to have that?
Yeah, they just don't want us to see what they're doing, is what it comes down to. But, I'm going to stand with Texas. I will stand with Texas all through this. I will stand with them under their Senate Bill 4, which gives Texas the right to arrest people for in unlawful entry from a foreign nation, and they can arrest them and put them in prison for up to 20 years. And the new law allows Texas to deport people. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that the feds are really upset about, because they passed this law that says they can deport people. They can arrest them for invading our nation. And,
Yep.
I
It
think that
isn't.
is right on any of those border states. They should have the right to defend us against foreign invasion. So, I don't care if you're up there
Yeah.
in the mitten or whatever, you probably have people that can get there from Canada. You have to watch this invasion, and we have to learn our
Yeah.
Constitution. We have to learn our rights, and we have to stand for those. And
Amen.
so,
Yeah, we do.
it's not a Christ-like thing to go down there. And I don't see Christ going into a foreign nation and bringing everybody into a walled city, unless they were converted by him, and he turned them into an apostle or something.
Yeah.
Even Christ got angry. I mean, just go look at when he threw the money changers out of the temple area. Christ got angry, and right now we need to get angry, and we need to stand for what's right in our nation. So, and if we don't
Yeah.
get
Yeah, we do.
pulled off the air, though, well, we'll come back next week and probably continue this particular topic.
Yeah, it'll
But we're
only be you and me that's pulled off the air. So, you can you can catch us on Twitter X, though. We are there. And Elon Musk, he's an interesting one, but I applaud him for him saying that, you know, you have the right, you have your First
Yep,
Amendment right.
yep,
Unless
free
you're
speech.
absolutely threatening somebody, you can say what you want.
Yeah, and we're not threatening anybody. We just want to wake people up.
No,
You know, look at the Constitution,
exactly.
look at our rights, and stand up to stop these atrocities, this loan forgiveness for students. Like I say, put your kids in a trade school, because the colleges these days are going to teach them all kinds of stuff that is counter to our nation. And, if this week, watch the news, because there is a convoy that starts today and it ends on February the 3rd, of proud Americans going down and driving around the border, across the border thing, on our side of the border, um, down in Texas. And they're expecting 700,000 people or vehicles
Yeah,
down there doing that. The truck convoys have already started. They're coming from Canada and every place else to stand in support of Texas and stand to close our borders. And so keep an eye on that. They're going to try to turn it into a January 6th thing, I'm sure. But, we also,
yeah,
I don't know if anybody's watched all the videos from January 6th, but if you do, you can find out where all the lies were coming from. And it was not the
exactly,
American people, it was the
exactly.
federal people. So
It was
anyway,
yes,
we've been
exactly, exactly. So be careful
Well,
out there. If you're going down there, please be careful. And if it looks like there's people that want to start a fight, you know that they're not with you because everybody's going down peacefully. Back
right.
away, just get out because it's a setup.
Yeah. Step away from any fights that, don't get into that because we don't want you sitting in prison for 3 years without even getting a trial, which some of them
Exactly.
from J6 being prosecuted that's happened, and we've known that. So, but anyway, we're going to have to tell you goodbye and get out of here. But
Yeah.
thank you for joining me again, Miss Cindy. I love you so much. She's a
I love you
she's a
too. It's always
sweetheart.
a pleasure.
Yeah. And anyway, have a good week. Be safe. And if you're going to Texas, shoot me a email or something, ladinaboo@gmail.com. You can find me. Shoot me an email and send me pictures.
Yeah, yeah. So, God bless you all out there that are standing with us. And we're hoping that you listen to this program and know your rights. We're trying to empower you. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, we want to empower you. We want you to know what's going on in our nation. And, we want our nation back because right now I did not grow up in this nation and I am not happy with it. So, everybody be
Exactly.
safe and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, Cindy. See you later.
Bye bye. Yeah, bye bye.
When your freedoms are being taken.